Well, hello, everyone. And this is a little bit of a different interview because it's with a dear friend who was usually busy working and she has not had an opportunity to be a part of our group. Whether she does or doesn't matter to me. I know that she has a lot of offerings and is a very special friend of mine. So her name is GinaMaria Opalescent. And I know that the Opalescent is not her real last name. I don't know what her real last name is.
No,
What?
it's my legal last name. It is.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know where you want to start, but you could start wherever you want. But my other question is, you could do both of these together however you want, is I know that GinaMaria is one of the Woo group, WOO group. She is fascinated by all things spiritual, as many of you are, most of you are. And she's going to tell us the story of how she got on her path. Ready?
Yeah, I
Okay.
am ready. So
Speak up. Speak up.
it started when I was very young, very, very young. And I was at the airport waving goodbye to my uncle that was going off to Vietnam. And the whole family, there were probably 30 of us at the airport. And as we turned to leave, I started sobbing and sobbing and sobbing.
Wow.
And I could not see where I was going, but I was like herded by, I was safely herded by the relatives. And all of a sudden, my mother came up behind me and she jabbed me really hard with her elbow. And I went, and instantaneously stopped crying. And I call this experience because I kind of had to name it to explain it to people.
Yeah.
It jammed my circuits. I believed that anything intuitive, psychic, whatever was going on with me, I thought that was bad. And I didn't even know what it was at that age. I was, one of those very
So
kind of
how would you define it now if you were going to explain it to somebody? What was
that's how
the
I got my intuition jammed for years and years until I felt safe enough to bring it out again. And that was along about middle school. And I would tell people, like, I trust my intuition. I know I could read people in school, know who the good
Okay,
people were, who the bad people
yeah,
were.
I get it. So let me segue back a little bit because I think I missed a connection. And you said your mom came over to you and she touched you or something. And
She jabbed me in the ribs and she said, "Stop crying. Grandma's gonna feel bad."
oh, okay. So you were showing people your sensitivity and your awareness.
And I got
Okay. I just want to fill in that
shamed,
blank to make sure everybody understood the significance of that.
totally shamed for your feelings and your intuition. Bad, bad,
Got it.
bad. Oh,
Okay.
and it really took
All
me
right.
years and years and years to get through this and get over it and understand it. But
Right.
now I am on the loose. I mean, I have totally gotten over it. I've claimed my gifts. I have more gifts coming out all the time. And I'm just going with it. I am very, very spirit guided. So,
Okay. So let me get to the nuts and bolts of when when something there's usually like an inception event, like something that starts you off. For me, I don't want to tell too much about it, but I ended up leaving a teaching job, not against my will. And from there, someone gave me a Wayne Dyer book. And all of a sudden, my life completely went from A to Z. So, did you have an inception event like that?
I'm trying to think. It was very gradual.
Okay.
The way it came about, I would get flashes. I always call them hits. I would get
Yes.
psychic hits all the time. And
Yes.
I would say, what good is this gift if I don't know how to turn it on and off? Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
for years and years and years, probably from middle school until, and here's kind of my inception story.
Okay.
Again, I was working and I couldn't keep up with my email, and we won't talk about my inbox because it's
No, we won't.
outdated. And I was getting all these emails from someone, and it was like constant email, and I never opened them. And then one night, right before I went to bed, I got an email from this person, and it said, "You missed it." And I opened it up, and I found out that this lady was starting a group of Oracle School. She didn't exactly call it that, but it was like the beta group. And I went, "Oh my God, this is it." And I just instinctively knew. And I sent an email back and responded to the email and said, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I need. I'm so sorry I missed it. Can I please get in?" And they answered and said, "Well, I suppose if you want." And I had to cancel something to pay the whatever
Okay.
it was. And then I
So,
started, and then it
all
all
right.
started.
So 1 second. I'm gonna ask for some clarity here because I think I know the person, and
Yes,
you can name the person and the school because it's well known. So you want to tell us a little bit about who it was and what it was like, something like
it
that?
Colette Baron Reed, and I was one of the beta students, and I
What
was
is what is beta? I want to make sure people know the term. What's
the beta
beta?
students are the first ones that are doing this to kind of test run the things that she was going to teach for the school that she launched the following fall, I believe.
Yeah,
So the school was in the
yeah,
summer, and then we launched in the fall, and it
right.
was amazing. It's
Okay.
what
So
really
so wait,
started
well, I
me.
want to hold on, hold on. I want to make sure people have specifics. So what is Oracle School?
Oracle School is a school that really teaches you how to read Oracle cards and how to
Ooh,
use your intuition and a lot of other things. I think it's a path to self-development. It
yeah.
really is, because I learned so
So
much through that
right.
school.
That's where we met. And I actually think I was in the beta group,
Were you?
but I'm not sure. I don't know.
It was the
It's all
summer
blurry.
2016, I believe.
Yep. Yep. I think I was in it because I was in it when I was in California and I moved
I remember.
in November.
I remember
Yeah.
you moving.
So that's
Yeah,
probably where we met. Uh-huh.
I think
Okay.
that is where
So,
we met.
yeah. So, do you remember like how big a group was it and what did you
I
do and all that?
believe there were 26 of us, I think.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
did 26 classes in a month. It was
Whoa.
so much material. There was so much stuff coming at us, but it was great. It was fabulous, because I don't know if you're like me. I've always felt like I never fit in. And for once in my life, I started to feel like I fit into someplace.
Yeah. Right. Okay,
So,
so what would you say like in terms of takeaways, like what did you do you do anything that you learned from that inception event in your life now?
oh my God, a lot of stuff. Like one
Okay,
of
cool.
the things that I love is wear it loosely. You know, if you want something,
Huh.
let's just say you want to get a new car, and for whatever reason, the car that you want, like you want this car with this color and this and this and this, and then all of a sudden you go to look at it and you see another one over here, and you're like, wait a minute, that's a much better car for me. And so you follow it and you get the other car. And that actually happened to me in Wisconsin when I moved back from Spain. I thought I wanted this car and I went and looked at it, and then it was like it wasn't the right kind of car for me. I had two little kids and I needed a mom car, and I kind of wanted a sports car with no trunk. That doesn't work with kids, right?
Okay.
I ended up all of a sudden I looked over and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta look at that one. My dad was like, well,
Yeah.
I thought you wanted this. And I'm like, well, I want to look at that.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and I
that's
ended
a
up
really important, yeah. In other words, like be fluid in your desires and
like,
your what abundance desires and your
your
manifestation. That's the big.
wishes and your,
Mhm,
what you
mhm.
want. Release the how it's going to happen, and release even the what. Like, I needed a car, I got a car, but I didn't attach to a red car.
Yeah, yeah. Because that
So,
brings disappointment, doesn't it? That, oh, I didn't get it, I don't deserve it, and right, like that. But
and it keeps you in the victim mode then, it's like,
yes,
no, like just,
yes, yes.
this is better. And it was much, much better. That car was fabulous. So,
Yeah, how cool is that? So I want
yeah.
to introduce you to something that kind of has to do with what we're talking about. It's sort of weird. Okay. I This is a crystal skull, and I have to get it straight. Okay. And I give them names that go along with what I'm doing. And I believe that, I had one name, and then the name, you'll appreciate this because it's about what we're talking about. I decided to name it, because there's no gender with them, Flow. FLOW. But my dad had an accountant whose name was Florence, and they called her Flo, and I loved her. So my crystal skull is a little bit like the whole idea of what you're talking about,
Exactly. Exactly. And
right?
the skull to me represents, it's a very earthly thing, but
Yeah,
it represents the essence of all of us without
yeah,
our skin. So now there's no belief system. It's just,
uh-huh.
there's no race, there's no religion, there's
Right.
just our pure essence of the skull. How's that?
I love it. So from that place in 2016 is when you had your big opening, you would say. From
Yeah, I
that
have
was your
a
moment.
story around that too. So I was actually living in HUD housing. One of my kids was sleeping on the floor. I was working a job I hated, and
Yeah.
I had just started Oracle school. I was in it maybe a week, and I was like, okay. And then I don't know, I was always checking my bank account because it never had any money, right? And I checked it, And well, I actually had been working this job for a month, so I was starting to get some money, right? And
Yeah.
I was working because I had to pay for this kid's food and stuff. They were in a really bad spot. Anyway, one night I checked my bank account and the HUD housing had taken out 3 times the rent because I was working and I was blue. I said, okay, I'm going to pull a card. And I went to the deck that we were learning from and I pulled the card and I got a leg up. Okay. It's like
Why don't
helps
you
on
name
the
name
way.
wait, stop for a second because this is important. Um, Name the deck because I think I know what it is. Do you have that deck with you?
It's right here, and I'm pretty sure that I have that card right on the top. So let's see.
Well, hold up the box
I'm
so people
gonna
can see it.
hold up the book because
Yeah,
this book is in really I mean
yeah,
the cover's peeling Wisdom of the Oracle, and you can see Colette's name on the bottom.
right.
Right. This is the teaching deck, and this deck is
Yep.
amazing. Very
So
powerful.
I want to throw in
So,
something on that. I have a few decks, right? But whenever someone asks a very pragmatic, that's the key word, question,
yep,
I always go to that deck still,
that's
right?
funny. Okay.
Yeah, because it's not all about just fairies and it's not all about, um,
Yeah,
mermaids. It's just about life, right?
right. It
So,
is a lot
yeah,
about that. So
yeah.
I don't have the
Okay.
card right on hand, but so the card is a leg up and it's
Yep.
like helps on the way. And I'm just like, what the ever the hell this means? Because I didn't know. I didn't get it. Okay.
Right.
So I
Right.
go to sleep. I wake up the next morning. The first thing I hear in my head when I woke up was very loud, very clearly, ask Modi Ji. Okay. So we were going to the Hindu temple to do yoga, right? We usually went every Saturday morning, and then we went to puja, to ceremony. Okay.
Yeah.
So Modi Ji was a guy from India that was always there. And I didn't really know him. And I talked to him once in a while. And he was a neighbor. He lived across the yard from me. And anyway, so after yoga, he gets behind me and starts pushing me. I'm a chariot driver, as I say, I'm a wheelchair user. He starts pushing me into temple. And I said, Moriji, I have to talk to you. And he's like, okay, no problem. After service, we'll talk. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So then I started talking to him.
Mhm.
And I told him, I said, I need a new place to live. I wasn't going to pay all that money for a 1-bedroom HUD housing when I could have had a full apartment, right? So he's like, how much can you pay? And I told him, or he said, how much are you paying? And I told him the amount. And he said, where are you looking? And I said, well, I looked at this one place right by the university, but they're full. And he said, well, I live in Nina. And I'm like, whatever, that's close. I said, that's close, that's good. And he goes, well, one of my neighbors just gave her notice last night, and I'm pretty sure they haven't already rented it out. He goes, it's Murphy Development. And both my kid and myself, oh, rented for several years before they know who we are. It's okay, it's gonna be great. And he was like, okay, well, here's the guy's number, call him and talk to him. So we went outside, we talked to him. I told him we'll be there in 20 minutes to see the place. And he said, okay, whatever, and hung up, right? We drive over there, call him back. He's like, what? We're here. He goes, I didn't even tell the lady you were coming. I said, well, please tell her because we're already here. We want to see it. We've already rented from Murphy Development. The management knows who we are. He's like, what? He couldn't believe it. So we go into this lady's houses. There's boxes everywhere. All we needed to know was that we could get the wheelchair into the closet, into the bathroom, filled out all the paperwork, paid the down payment, and there we were. We had a new house, a leg up. It was like, that was my first card that I pulled for myself outside of class.
Wow. Congratulations.
Wasn't
Okay,
that
so
amazing?
that really wasn't that long ago, right? I mean, it really,
It feels like it was a century ago, but it was in 2016. It was in
yeah,
September.
a lot
August.
happened that year, didn't it? Right? Yeah. Well, okay. So let's see, where was I going with this?
Oh, and then
You
wait. So
know,
then a week later,
okay,
both my kid and I got new jobs on the same day.
no way.
Yes, ma'am. And I
So
got my car.
what do you what do you it's complicated how we manifest, right? And what do you is it because you said yes to Oracle school, or is it because you just let go and just went, okay, universe, bring it on?
You know, I think it was learning to read the universe. You know, I
Ooh,
have been trained by Carolyn Mays to do archetypal. I'm an archetypal consultant for Carolyn Mays, okay?
wow.
And yeah, and I believe that Oracle School was what taught me, what started to teach me how to read the universe. I mean,
Yeah,
there's stuff happening all the time. And you know
yeah.
my inbox, we're not talking about that. But yesterday, I was talking to someone, and when I got done, the email right under their email was just like so in line with the theme. It was like, there's the confirmation answer. Sometimes I look at my email, just the headings, and there's messages in them for me.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay,
It
so
is.
where am I going next? I want to do, oh, all right. So I would like the audience to know, because you have the most beautiful last name. And and well, I don't have a moonstone, not an opal, but I love opals as well. And if you could just briefly tell us how that all got done, how did you create that last name for yourself?
This is a name that I took. Here's my little opal rose. See, my
Oh,
hands are crazy.
that's okay.
Stop for a second. Don't blink. So I went to a meditation for like a week in Asheville, North Carolina with Drunvalo Melchizedek. And my ex-husband, we actually manifested that trip too, but that's another story. We met someone there, and this guy told me, he said, I think you need to get, and I'm going to date myself, I don't even care, the tapes that go with this book called Remote Viewing, okay?
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I got the tapes and I listened to one side of one tape once, and I was very distracted and I don't even think I finished. But so when I sat down the second time, to listen to this tape on remote viewing, this is what happened. So I'm sitting in this chair. My kid is sitting next to me. We're in the reading room in these like velveteen chairs that kind of rocked a little bit. My kids got a book in their face because that's how they always were. They always had a book, right? And I've got the tape recorder next to me and I'm listening to it. And I have a habit in meditation. I just go out. I mean, I can like sink in and go out like in a minute and a half, right? So all of a sudden, I'm in this huge, gigantic, brilliant white cloud with nothing and nobody and no nothing. There's nothing but white cloud, beautiful, gorgeous white cloud. And all of a sudden I start to see these little flecks of like blue and pink and yellow. And it reminded me of walking in a white opal, right? I didn't think about this till later. So I'm just kind of there, and then all this other stuff happened. But then all of a sudden my head gets filled with this rushing, whoosh, huge rushing noise. And I start going like this, literally. And my kids like, they didn't say anything at the moment, but what was happening was I was getting hit with the waves and I didn't understand it. But all of a sudden I felt it. It was these waves and waves and waves of the most powerful, unimaginable, unconditional, gigantic, divine love. It was the most powerful thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And later, probably 3, 4, 5, 8 months later, I don't know how much later, I named that my opalescent experience. And I decided that that gift was meant for me to carry with me. And I'll tell you, it's not always easy, but I carry it with me, and it is so strong, and it is what I wish for everyone to experience. I don't know how I would go about doing that, but that's what I did. I took it for my name, and when I went to get the URL for my website, I decided to take opalescent.com with taken. I decided to take Opalescent.World. How's that?
Wow. So it's a little bit like the picture behind me, right? You're bringing that. Now, this is all children, but the potential of it is gigantic for the future. What a gorgeous story. And, I don't know exactly the whole story, but for a while, I was very strongly involved with the path of Yogananda. And he used to talk about opals, but sadly, I don't remember. My husband is still a big part of that group. And so he knows better than me the true meaning of it. But I get chilly bumps, as my friend Jeff says. Yeah, I will send it to you when I know. I think might be an autobiography of a yogi, but I don't know. So, wow, that was amazing, and that was before Oracle School, correct?
That was somewhere, I don't really know. It was between 2001 and 2009.
Well, it sounds like, we were talking about the idea of inception events, which I find I would love to write a book about it someday, but I don't know if I will. But the whole idea of when spirit comes and goes like this, okay, enough already. Come on over. Come on with me. I got something to show you. And in other words, to know that the world that we walk and live in and think is real is only a small part of what is really happening,
You
right?
know what, Susan? Think I got, I think that experience happened right before or right when I was starting to get hit with whatever it was that I have. And I was,
Okay.
that was a really hard physical blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So I think that gift was given to me to give me the courage and the strength
Yes.
to move
Yes.
through this entire crazy ass
Yeah.
illness I've had for 22
Yeah,
years now.
that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And to make you feel like the body is not everything. There's so much more, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is
Just
also a little bit of a double edge because
yeah,
it's
of course.
important to be in our bodies. And I have said for years and years, who would want to be in this body, right? But really, seriously, I mean, come on, there are people that have it a lot worse than I do. So
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to I'm not sure how long we've been going. I like to make this like 45 minutes to an hour. So we're good. I don't think we've gone farther, but I want to fast forward into I don't know where, but
like
I'm
how
thinking
I got
about
to
you.
Santa Fe. I have a Santa
Well,
Fe story.
there's that. We can do that. And we can also talk about what you're launching right now,
Oh, that's another good
right?
one.
Okay, so start with Santa Fe because that's chronological.
Okay. All right. So I have a friend. Her name is Teresa. She was working at a place and it was like a half-hour drive for her to get home. And on
Right.
Friday afternoons,
One
she would,
second. Let me close it. Hold on one second. I got to close the door. I think my husband just came in. Okay.
that's funny. We called him in.
No, no, no. He goes out with his male friends on Saturday morning, and then he goes shopping, and then he comes in, and sometimes he says hi, as I didn't want him to do that. So keep going. Santa Fe.
Okay. So Teresa would call me on Friday afternoons and we'd blab for like 45 minutes, just catch up like every week. Okay. And
Right.
all of a sudden, one week we're talking away, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I don't know, man. I think I'm just going to pack up and move to Santa Fe. And she was like, what? What are you talking about? And I'm like, I said, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. It just came out of my mouth. Spirit works like that with me a lot. Okay. And I had been here one time about 15 years earlier for a week with my ex-husband. And when we were leaving we're going to the airport or whatever, I said, I am coming back here to live. And he's like, no, 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 it's too hot. It's too this, it's too that. I'm like, I said, I'm coming back here to live. I love this place. I am so connected to the land. Anyway, so when I told Teresa that, I was like, that's a really good idea. So, I'm fluent in Spanish. I lived in Spain 15 years. And one day I started looking to see if there were any jobs. I always look on Indeed for some reason. Any jobs in the area that value Spanish. I'm like, New Mexico, maybe there's a lot of people that speak Spanish. I don't know. So what did I find? A job working with the unaccompanied minors on the southern border of Texas. I'm like, hey, that's a hell of a lot closer than Wisconsin. So I sent my interview. They called me 2 days later. They said, can you be here this weekend? I'm like, no, I have to pack. I have to stay and get my second vaccine. Unless you guys can give it to me in Texas, I'm thinking I'll leave everything and let someone else pack it up, right? And they're like, no, can't do that. So I stayed. I packed everything up as much as I could, put it in a pod, drove like a bat out of hell to Texas, to the southern border. And I'm a little bit of a badass wheelchair user because all of a sudden, when I was to report to work, I'm like, man, I wonder if it's going to be all accessible. And then I'm like, wait, they're federal contractors. It's got to be, right? It wasn't. I was there for 3 days, and then they said, hey, listen, we're going to change your position. We're going to give you a raise. We're going to give you a computer. We're going to make you a case manager because you've got enough education behind you to do this. And I said, I've been a case manager before. So, because I was hired as a teacher. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So they send me to San Antonio. They put me in a hotel with this computer, and I was doing nothing for weeks on end. And I got my ADA coordinator certification in the meantime, but I was just 8 hours a day, just kind of on my computer to see if anyone was going to give me any information,
okay.
tell me what the heck I was going to do, right? But then I figured out that they had no idea what internet I was hooked up to. They had no idea. It was crazy. And
So what did you, yeah, okay.
I decided that I was going to risk it and go to Santa Fe. And I met this woman. I was doing my wash, and she just kind of looked at me and she's like, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm working for the government, but I really think I need to get out of Texas. She's like, yeah, you do. And she gave me the website to a place that traveling nurses use to get a place to live for a few months. That's really nice. And I got a casita here in Santa Fe. I crossed the timeline, the time zone with my government computer, and the time zone didn't even change. They had no idea where I was. So while I had
so why don't you bring us up to you're not working for them anymore, right?
No.
So
no, that contract,
so what
they lost the contract to that place.
Okay.
Then I got another job working for a different federal contractor.
Yeah.
And we 10,000 kids in 3 waves in 9 months. I worked 12-hour days.
Wow.
I worked for FEMA.
Was that during the Trump administration when they were doing all the stuff at the border? Were you related to all? Oh, that's tough. Yeah. Yeah. It must have been really hard.
Well, I felt that at least the kids that I saw were getting what they needed. They had classes every day. They had 3 or 4 meals a day. They had a place to sleep. They had clean bedding. They had clean clothes. They had toothbrushes, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean?
Okay, so then that ended because
you know what happened? The job ended the day I got my apartment here. And the day the pod pulled up with all my stuff in it was 15 years to the day that we were here.
Oh my.
It was like,
that's interesting.
Are you
so let's fast forward. Yeah. Let's fast forward. We're gonna bring it into present time.
Okay.
And um
Because
and I
I'm a
know that you're doing some. I mean, we've had intermittent. We're like sort of like the the connection, and then we go our separate ways, and then the new
oh,
connection, and then we go our
um,
separate ways. So I really don't exactly know. I
oh
think
my
you're
God.
looking for
I'm
something
gonna
new
tell
now.
you this. It is so amazing.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
I was talking to someone just like you, but I don't know who it was or when. And I had all these pastels next to me in a sketchbook, okay?
Hmm.
And I was like very absent-mindedly picking them up, and I had my eyes closed, and they started telling me what they wanted me to draw, like circles or squares or squiggles or shades or whatever, okay? And
Wow.
colors have meanings,
Huh.
and now the shapes have meanings, and I'm using 48 colors. Susan, sometimes, and I've got a mask over my face now, okay? I do it blindfolded. Sometimes I know what color I have in my hand and I'm blindfolded. I don't know what's going on. But I get these pictures that are just squiggles. It looks like a kindergartner scribbling. But there are messages here that you would not believe. It's
Okay,
really
so
powerful.
you know what this reminds me of?
What?
There's this guy. He's a he's wait a minute. My vocabulary just died.
I
Okay,
know how
he's a
that
medium.
goes. Okay.
Okay, so he's a medium, and he's very famous. His name is Tyler something, and I know some people listening to this will know who it is. And when he sits down with people, he starts drawing just like you. But and he kind of has his eyes closed, and then from that he gets his mediumship reading. I couldn't stop thinking about that's a very interesting way to do it, just like you were. So have you been giving people readings with this technique?
I give readings, and it's like, okay, once again, I'm naming stuff. So I've named it enchanted divination just because, I mean, what are you going to
Sounds
call
good. Sounds really good.
it?
Um,
Exactly.
and you've launched something. You want to talk about that?
I just launched my website a couple of weeks ago, and I'm offering for now, for starters, I have my enchanted divination readings or my expert oracle card readings, because you know how oracles go. I've
Yeah.
given readings with one card for an hour.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's how
Yeah.
it works. Just works.
Yeah.
I mean,
And and I know that, since I've sort of walked the path of a spiritual entrepreneur, I go in and out with,
yep.
advertising, blah, blah, blah. Um, but it's an interesting path, isn't it? To get the word out, to have a website, to decide how much to charge, to do all of that above. And I think it's that it takes courage to do it, and it takes determination to do it. It takes the desire and ability, even if you don't want to be seen, right?
It
To be
was hard
renamed.
for me. This is really
I
my
know.
celebration of me totally 100% claiming my gift, because I was terrified. And
Right,
I've worked
right.
through it, and I've gotten over it, and now here I am. Let's go.
It's the idea of being seen. And I think for me, I'm lucky. Okay, very lucky. I was in the California state teachers retirement system, and I worked there for 30x years. So I really don't need to have it to buy my groceries, so to speak. But I also believe in, and we could talk about this just
For
briefly, but
hours,
I
we could
actually,
talk, you and
I know, but we want to make it short enough so people don't turn it off. So I have a theory about being seen, and I bet there might be people who are watching this who feel the same thing. That we all have gifts, whatever ways they manifest, but there's a certain group of us that, and now I'm going to go a little woo. Um, the whole idea of past incarnations and being punished for being who we were, and
oh
I
yeah,
think that's very real. And
100%.
and it's like, I don't want to be seen. I'm just going to be in the background. And then at some point, if you're supposed to, then you open up the store and you go, okay, I'm hanging up my shingle and I'm just doing this, and I'm going to get rid of the whatever is stopping me from XYZ in order to do what I'm here to do.
You know,
And
that's the
and
part
even
that
but I
like,
just want to finish because I'm kind of talking to the audience too, that if you feel like you're like that, there is no pressure at all to come out of the closet, because if you're supposed to help the world, you will be guided to people that need you, and you will be able to do the work that you're here to do. And that, I just wanted to say that because it's really not all about being a professional, you know? So,
it's exactly totally. And, you know, on the
yeah.
other side, it's like the clients and the people are guided to come to us.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know that we give them the messages that they need to hear.
Okay.
Because
So that's going to segue. We're going to segue into one last thing. And you are a very gifted card reader, and you went to get your cards. And I said, let's end with it. So let's keep that sort of idea. And do you want me to ask you a question?
if you want, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'd like to, because I want this to be for the audience too. So, as a reading for the collective, what does the collective consciousness of our group need to know right here, right now?
Okay. What does the collective need to know right here, right now? I have a very interesting way of shuffling.
Okay. I don't know how to shuffle. I just lay them out. Okay.
Oh my God, I love this card.
Okay, good.
The card is the quest.
Oh.
Byline on it is plunge boldly into life. Oh shoot.
I see it. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Isn't it?
Tell us about the deck.
The deck is called the Hero's Journey, the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. It's by Kelly Sullivan Walden. And, you know, I mean, as a Jungian trained archetypal consultant and oracle card reader, this is like the marriage of both of those. And the
Yeah, Joseph
messages
Campbell.
are
Yep.
really, really powerful. I really like this. I use it a lot.
Wow.
I know,
So
right?
is there some final word that you'd like to give to the audience about you? And oh, I want to make sure that everybody knows I will have GinaMaria's information on the post, and maybe she'll join our group even if it's for a day so she can see it in real time. We'll see. It's all up to her. I know she's super busy. And so what's a final goodbye word fare thee
I
well.
have something I have. If people are interested in learning about divination, you can go on my website and click on the free training and sign up. And at the end, there's a coupon for 50% off if you want a reading. How's that?
Wow. And is www.opalescent.world your website? Because you could see it right here.
It is.
Perfect. And she's going to email me more information, about getting in touch. And I want to thank you so much for your time and your energy. And we're going to, I'll stop the recording.
I've always adored you. I've always.
Wait.
You're so amazing.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop the recording. And then we're still going to be here. Okay.
No, we can still have that.